Today's show is sponsored by the ABV Network Merchandise Shop. Pick up your logo merchandise by heading over to abvnetwork.com, clicking on Shop, and start filling your basket today. We are also sponsored by the Bar to Go. The Bar to Go offers a fully customizable carrying case that allows you to take your favorite distilled spirits or cocktail ingredients with you. Whether you're looking for something for yourself, a customized gift, or logoed items for your business gift shop, the Bar to Go can help. Check them out at thebar2go.com. That's the number 2 in the Bar to Go. Don't forget our friends at Neely Family Distillery now ship their unique distilled spirits directly to you. To order yours, simply call 859-394-3258. Tell them the ABV Network sent you. And now, on to the show.
Let's drink!
Welcome to the Bourbon Daily, a podcast about everything bourbon delivered to you every day of the week. Today on the show, we continue our favorite distillery series by talking about the old Rip Van Winkle Distillery. My name is Miss Beka Sue. Please join me in welcoming my co-host, Steve Akeley, along with our special guests, Elba Gibran, Lenny Eckstein, and Heidi Fosnot.
Hey, gang, what's up?
Howdy.
Hello. What's happening?
So we're going to have a fun show today. We're going to be talking about the old Rip Van Winkle Distillery, a distillery that's not actually a distillery, but they do make some of the most famous and iconic whiskey in the world, or maybe they don't make it. They sell it, and they are in front of that brand. So we'll talk about that but what we like about them. This is a thing that we've been doing, the greatest distillers, where we talk about the things that we love about them. And there may be some things we don't like it's tough to find that, but we're not going to focus on that stuff because that's not what this series is all about. It's what we love about these specific things. Before we get to that, though, Elba, you had a question or something you wanted to talk about. What is that?
I mean, if you can just see it now, I'm doing the slow fist pump. But I got to ask you guys to pump your own gas or not to pump your own gas. And I live in a state where we have to just sit in our car and allow the attendant to come and pump your gas. So that's up for the conversation for tonight.
Okay.
To pump or not to pump?
Are you compelled to tip people that fill your tank, or is that not a thing?
That was my question.
Yeah,
what I was going to ask.
I don't really know because
it's a full service in the state of New Jersey. We don't tip. It's a part of the service.
Part of the service. Okay. Huh.
So do they charge you extra at the pump for that?
Well, all of them have to do it. So what does that mean? I mean, I don't. I'd have to look. Is the price of gas in New Jersey higher than surrounding states? I guess, but then it could be the different taxes. I mean, yeah, it's a tough one to measure.
I'd be curious to compare to see what gas prices in Oregon are versus gas prices in Jersey, just because we're the only two states in the U.S. that still fully services you when you pull up to a gas station. So
yeah, and I've tried to talk them out of it because I don't like. I mean, I just want to pump my own gas. And they're like, no, we have to do it. And I'm like, oh, I know what I'm doing. I know how to work this gas pump. Or they're like, no, we have to pump the gas. So yeah, it's awkward. For me, I feel awkward. I don't know why, and because that was the thing. I didn't know if I was supposed to tip them or not. So I don't like it. I just as soon pump my own gas. No, I guess in New Jersey when it's really cold in the winter, maybe it's nice. You just stay in your car, but I don't know.
I'll say this. So I, from North Dakota, I live in Kentucky now. I've traveled a lot, drove a lot. I was in Oregon once and I did not know that was a thing when I was in Oregon. And I got there and I started getting in my car and the attendant ran out there get your car. And I'm like, what is happening?
Right.
I did not know what the fuck was happening. It was kind of terrifying because I've always pumped my own gas. I was like, what? The serious Steve, it's awkward. What is that? What do you mean you pump my gas? But it is awkward. But coming from North Dakota, where it is on occasion -30, -40 degrees outside, I'll tell you what, we need more attendance doing that in North Dakota because
full service station.
There are and there's one full service station that I know of in Minot where I'm from, but there should be more. Like North Dakota, you should not have to pump your gas there because it is way too fucking cold. I want to get out of my car. I have you sort of derobe once you get into your car when it's that cold out.
Sure, because you can regulate the temperature.
Be bundled up, trying to drive, you got all these gloves on. There should be someone working there that's already bundled up, and that's what they're doing.
I've got a question, Elba. If you go to a Love's travel stop, so there can be 30 different gas pumps at that. How many people do they employ to pump the gas there? Is it just one person running around? Do they have 30 people? I don't understand. What's a truck stop like in New Jersey?
That's the worst part. Is that there's probably maybe, depending on how many lanes of stations gas pumps they have. Maybe two or three, depending on the time of day. It's awful. No, you're waiting there and you're just sitting there and you can't do anything about it. Credit card in hand, cash in hand. You're just
I have a question.
Waiting.
So when I was in high school, there was times, and also gas is a lot cheaper. I'm 33. So back when I was in high school, I was driving when I was 14 and a half. So I've been driving for a long time. There were times when I was driving my 86 Buick Skyhawk that I was only putting in $2.50 worth of gas.
Yeah.
Do you tell them how much gas you want? Can you be I need $2.50?
I'm sure you could. Yeah. Yeah. And let's be honest. So the only cool thing about all that is, now, when I was a kid, we used to have in St. Louis, they don't even really have them here anymore. Maybe they got them somewhere, but the full service stations where you would choose. And my parents would always go to the cheaper one, but sometimes they'd end up get stuck going to the full service. And the only thing I liked about it, and this was I'm old enough, it was kind of before credit cards, so you'd have to pay cash. And they always had that little thing on their belt with the coins where they hit the little buttons. And so yeah. I wanted to work one of those jobs so I could wear that thing on my belt because I wanted to give change like that. I just thought that was cool.
You still can.
Okay. Yeah,
there's still time. Maybe I'll move to New Jersey. Alba, do they wear those things to give the change?
Only I think at the arcade on the boardwalk, maybe.
Damn it! I got to work that job then. I mean, this is something I want to wear. Yeah, I want to wear the old coin thing. So yeah, I guess that's the job I'll have to get. Oh.
So growing up on the East Coast, and I don't know if Lenny can relate to this or not, but growing up in Delaware, anytime that we were going to drive through Jersey or get on the Jersey Turnpike, we made sure we had a full tank of gas.
Yeah,
we did not want to have to get off and get gas in Jersey or anywhere else on the Jersey Turnpike. So whether I was driving up, to New York, or I was going up to Connecticut or to Maine or wherever I was going to see family, I made sure that I always had a full tank of gas, and I did not want to get off in Jersey.
Is it because you hated them pumping your gas that much?
Oh yeah.
No, it was so much more expensive.
In Delaware? That's because there's no tax in Delaware.
No. And no, we'd fill up in Delaware because that's where I live. And then before we went to Philly or Jersey or anywhere else, we always made sure we had a full tank of gas, because if you had to get off or you had to fill up in Jersey, it was so much more expensive. And I hated having to fill up in New Hampshire because it was just as bad.
Okay. Now you have the same thing where you live now. Gas cheap in Missouri, expensive in Illinois. Would you always, you used to live in Illinois, would you always fill up on the Missouri side?
Always.
Yeah, because I live right across the river. I literally live in the first town across the river. And there are so many Illinois cars in our gas stations, and they're all terrible drivers in Illinois. There's something required. You got to be a terrible driver if you live in Illinois. And, they cut you off and they're just driving like they don't know anything.
Yes.
I don't know what happens there.
I enjoy being a complete asshole when I'm driving because I have Illinois tags.
Yeah,
but
sure.
I'm getting ready to flip those over to
you're gonna have to get your act together.
I know, because I live in Missouri now, and so I just got the title for my car so I can go get my tags done. But it's cheaper in Missouri than it is in Illinois, but now they just raised the taxes in Missouri for gas.
Starting in October. It hasn't kicked in yet.
Yes.
It's coming soon.
But
it's still going to be cheaper than Illinois, though.
But yes, it will. But if you save your receipts, then you can do it as a tax write-off.
Yeah, I'm going to do that.
Coming from people who drop $200 on a bottle of bourbon without thinking about it.
Oh, yeah.
Who gives a fuck how much gas costs per gallon?
I know. People are crazy about this. When I did that road trip with Bill Lewis,
Yeah.
We had two different policies. My policy is I pull into the nearest gas station, and you know what? If it's 4 cents more than across the street, I pay the extra 4 cents, and I just lose the 40 cents.
What's
40
it,
cents to me, I just write it off in my mind. But he can't. He's got to drive around. He has like a 2 to 3 mile range where he drives around, looks at all the gas stations. I'm like, you're adding so much time when we could be back on the road. My time is worth something. He's like, no, I got it. So our policy was when it was my turn to pay, I could just pull in, and when it was his turn, we'd have to tour
But between Illinois and Missouri, it's a 20 cents difference.
Oh gosh.
It's 20 cents per gallon. So I make sure I fill up on this side before I take my daughter back over to her dad's. And then
you know what else Heidi's saving money on in Missouri, I guarantee you? Those smokes that she loves, she's not buying those in Illinois. She's buying those in Missouri. I guarantee you, based on the tax on those cigarettes. So,
yep, dirt cheap. Love you guys.
So there you go. So, shop.
Lenny, what about you?
I don't like people pumping my gas.
No.
That's kind of the bottom line.
No.
But I mean, it is what it is. I'm not going to exit the state next time I'm in Jersey.
All right. It is time to drink. What is everyone drinking? We're going to start with Beka first. She went last time. We're going to start with her. Beka, what do you got?
All right, next up in my bottles I found around the house. This one was sitting out by our clay pigeon thrower.
Okay.
Found it this morning. It's leather bound, which is mine and Royce's anniversary barrel.
Leather bound. Interesting.
Steve, it
Your
has fucking
anniversary.
nothing to do with that, Steve. It
It's
literally is referring to like a fucking book, Steve.
Sure it is. Our anniversary barrel, leather bound.
Restraints or flogger?
You know
I
what?
don't know what we're talking about here.
I'm married, so that's fine. If I wanted to be
It
tied
is.
up
It's
like
fine.
that,
I'm not judging you,
but
but I
that
just
is
think it's
literally not what it's referring to.
No,
Only
sure.
you and Tony are the people that came up with that.
Okay, well,
No, I totally went there. I'm sorry.
Yeah, because Steve went, oh, leather bound. Oh, wee wee.
Yeah, well, you're the one who's like, oh, this celebrates
up,
our first
Steve.
anniversary, leather bound. Interesting.
That had nothing to do with it. This was one of my favorite fucking barrels. It got picked. I named it that because it tastes like a fucking used leather anything. Not like that. Stefan. God, I fucking hate you. All right, so it's mostly loved as leather bound would be.
Hell.
Okay, that's decent. It could be enough to win. We'll see. Lenny, you're next. Used to not be known for his cork pops, then got a cutting edge microphone.
hit or miss.
Yeah. So now,
in honor of what I believe to be the inevitable explosion of American single malt, got a bottle of
coming soon.
Yeah, any day now.
Someday.
Bull Run American single malt out of Oregon.
Hopefully, if you're going to do a run to get some Bull Run, please have your tank full. Otherwise, they're going to have to fill your tank for you. By the way,
This is true. I forgot about that.
All right, Heidi, you're next. Lenny took over the lead there. His was explosive as he put it out there. It was explosive. So you're next.
All right, I got
Current champion, by the way, Heidi.
Black Maple Hill.
Okay. So this is why her husband, Jim, says he hates her coming on the show anymore, because she goes out and spends all this money so she can get good. You can see that's a brand new bottle. She
It is
spends
not.
all this
It
money.
was already opened.
She spends all this money so she can win the cork pops. And she's done it again. She's beat Lenny. She's in first place. So Elba, you're next. What do you got?
Well, you guys, in true red wax fashion, I'm actually sipping on some 46 cast strength. I have it kind of like half full already, so I've been doing some damage.
Okay.
But let's see if I've got the Jersey gas pump. I don't know, whatever.
Okay. No, not enough to knock off Heidi. I've got a 375 here. It's the Blackback Alpha series. This is a sour mash corn whiskey. It's bottled in bond, so it's 100 proof, of course. So here we go. Ooh, that was pretty good, but I think Heidi did have enough again. So Heidi goes 2-0 for her first two shows. So congratulations, Heidi, and cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
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 All right. What we'll do next, we'll take a quick break. And then when we come back, we're going to be talking about the old Rip Van Winkle Distillery. We'll do that in just a few. Hello, this is Steve Akeley, owner of the ABV Network, and let's talk for a moment about our sponsors, the people that make this show happen. First up is our friends at Moonshine University. In 2017, I completed my Executive Bourbon Steward certification at their office in Louisville. The information I learned through lead instructor Colin Blake and their team there is something that I continue to draw upon frequently in my role at the ABV Network. It truly is the standard of establishing a benchmark of knowledge of the bourbon industry. From history to production to brands and people, it's all there. Check out their full listing of programs, including Executive Bourbon Steward certification, production classes if you're considering starting a distillery, and much more at moonshineuniversity.com. I also want to talk about Neely Family Distillery. Back in May of 2018, I met Royce Neely at Limestone Branch's Craft Bourbon Festival. It ended up not only being the start of a great friendship, I started to truly learn about what makes craft whiskey so amazing. You see, I had been a bourbon drinker for over 30 years at that point, and like many people who had been drinking bourbon a long time, I was hard-coded into thinking big bourbon was where it was at and craft was on a journey to get there. Spending time with Royce and learning the things he does to make his whiskey taste better started to really get me to appreciate how things like sweet mashing, open top fermentation, pot distillation, and the grains you are using not only makes your product taste better coming off the still, but also out of the barrel as well. I still love heritage brands and they make up a bulk of my collection. But when you find a craft distiller that is truly dedicated to the craft of distilling, you are drinking some of the best whiskey out there on the market today. That's exactly what's happening at Neely Family Distillery today. Check them out on the web at neelyfamilydistillery.com, or better yet, stop by and see them at their distillery in Sparta, Kentucky. And now, back to the show.
Saying Bourbon Daily?
Yeah.
Okay, you're listening to the Bourbon Daily.
No, your name first.
My name.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Jason Souter.
And?
And you're listening to the Bourbon Daily.
Perfect.
Welcome back to the Bourbon Daily. Today we're discussing the Old Rip Van Winkle Distillery.
Yes, we are. So obviously the Old Rip Van Winkle Distillery, the big thing out of that, of course, is Pappy, that Pappy Van Winkle lineup. And that's the 15, the 20 and the 23-year-old. Then they have their rye, and then they got the lot B and the Old Rip Van Winkle as well. So that's the 6 products that make up the regular lineup. Then they do special releases as well, and it's changed the industry. Pappy, for some reason, and I know there's a lot of contributing factors. There's not one thing that suddenly made Pappy very popular. There's a lot of different things. The highest score that they ever gave out of the institute that gave them the 98 or whatever they got, and chefs like Anthony Bourdain saying he loved it, and a lot of other things too. Magazine articles, newspaper articles, leads to this Pappy frenzy that continues on, and it seems like no matter what happens, and people will say it's not as good as other wheated bourbons you find, and all this, they could say all that stuff they want, but the demand does not go down for the stuff. It just keeps to get up, and it does transcend bourbon. People who don't know anything about bourbon have heard of Pappy Van Winkle, and they've heard of the product. And newbies, that's the first thing they want to do is find their bottle of Pappy. So what do you guys think? What are some of the things that you guys like about Old Rip Van Winkle Distillery, which is the official company name of the company that partners with Buffalo Trace to make the Pappy lineup? What do you guys like about it?
I mean, there's a lot of things you touched on, Steve, that I like about it. But the first thing that comes to mind that I think is just pretty cool in modern times, and I think we can touch on history for sure. But right now, I kind of like the fanboyism, especially for people who are new to it. I like that it attracts people because there's this aura around it. And I like that there's, what is a bottle of retail for? Like not much over 100, right? Like typically. Oh, yeah. Okay. So I like that
retail is very affordable. Across the
so I like that a fairly affordable bottle has reached like supreme baller status, and that for someone who does get their hands on it, whether they paid way too much or not, I like that they get to have like some their moment of like street cred and feel good about all of that. That's cool. I think that's a nice thing, even though it could be divisive. I'm all about it.
Yes, bringing new people is a good thing. And Pappy definitely has brought a lot of people to bourbon, and we all benefit from that. Even though we might think we're like, we can't find a bottle. I've been drinking bourbon a long time, and now I can't find it. I even used to be able to buy Pappy, and I can't find it anymore. Am I angry about all these new people coming along? No, because so much other stuff has come because of this new influx of people. So in reality, we all benefit from the Pappy craze, even though it's kind of tough to see at times. So I think that's important to remember too.
I mean, we've even had, obviously it says like distillery and stuff, and we have alcohol sales at our distillery. I had a guy come into the distillery once, and he goes, "Do you guys, like, I'm not from around here. Do you guys have any of that? It's like, let me look at my phone. It's a Pappy and Winkle.
Just randomly asking distilleries
here." And I'm like,
"You mean Winkle?"
Winkle.
No, Winkle. I go, "No, we don't have that here. We just have what we make." And he's like, "Well, where do you think I can find that?" And I was like,
Buffalo Trace.
"You can't." And he goes, "What? Why can't I find it?" And I said, "That's not something that you can just find on a shelf." I said, "If you're lucky," I said, "you could, but right now this is not the season for when it's put out on the shelf anyways." I was like, "But that's not something you can find." He's like, "Well, why not?" And I was like,
That's a conundrum,
like that's
right?
just not it's not a thing. Like that's not, you don't just like find one randomly. I mean, you can,
But that's kind of awesome.
Like if you're in some like smaller towns, say there's like small places where like they randomly get some allocation that you would never have thought to go to, and they have one, but like that's just not a thing, especially in Kentucky.
Right. That brings up a point too. The whole lottery and allocation thing and these raffles, that really is all because of Pappy. That all starts because of that. And Heidi can vouch. It's going to seem like I'm lying here, but Total Wine has done like 4 raffles, and some live, and then some now have been online stuff. And every year I've won an Old Rip 10. Every single year that they've done it.
Every year.
And it's random. And I'll tell you what, you feel like you've accomplished something, even though it's just a random thing. When it was live and I won that, I'm telling you, I felt like I hit the lottery, even though there was better bottles, that had already gone. I wasn't like pick number 1 or anything, but I got the old. I'm telling you, you feel like you're king of the world. I feel like I won the World Series or the Super Bowl or something. You're holding it up over your head when you get it. I don't know. It's a cool feeling.
What was crazy with that is like 3 years, like his number was called
because the live event,
because we did tickets, and then right. I mean, I remember when Dave was pulling the numbers out and calling them from Still 630.
Right.
And he called you, and I was like, again?
The Colonel wins again. Yeah.
He won again because he just won, the year before that.
And people start
at he first got a Pappy 10 again. And I'm like, but then, and then they went all electronic, and it's supposed to be random, and you got chosen again, and you got chosen, and they tell you what you get.
Right.
And I was like, so we got a Pappy 10
again. Yeah. It continues to happen.
See, this is why I don't wait in line, and Steve Akeley does that for me.
I don't know how that works. People will be like, "Well, it's fixed." They know. I have nothing to do with that, and Heidi will tell you it's not fixed either. It's not. None of that's fixed. I don't. Yeah, they don't care if I get a bottle or not. They don't care. But yeah, it's just worked out where I have.
I like, when people do get, like a Pappy and a lottery and everything like that, it's fantastic. And you have people that are always searching for that unicorn of, "Oh, do you guys have Pappy?" And we used to mess with them all the time and we're like, "Oh yeah, I got Pappy. Come follow me." And they follow me, and we'd take them in the humidor, and we were like, "There's your Pappy cigar." That's not what I was talking about. I know right. That's not what you were talking about. So, and people would be like, "Okay, you got me." But there's also those moments where you go into a bar or a restaurant and you're like, "Oh, what do you have for a bourbon selection?" And, they're kind of going through it, and then you kind of peek around the corner and you're like, "Ooh, what's that?" "Oh, that's Pappy 12. And I'm like, "Okay, I'll take 3 pours of those." When you kill the bottle and
you get your check.
Yeah, you may pay a ridiculous amount of money.
Sounds like pumping gas to me.
But here's the thing. Like, then you've made that memory with somebody else or 2 other people that may not have had it yet.
I will say this.
Yeah,
I
go
will
ahead.
say this, coming from the single malt world, whether or not you think Pappy is great quality whiskey and you're just starting out in this journey, or your experience like some of us are, that Pappy has driven a lot of just whiskey drinkers in general.
Yeah.
It's opened up this world that, for whatever it's worth, bourbon has always just been considered to be just that affordable drink. And now you can really look at the industry and see what distilleries are doing wherever you are in that journey, and really appreciate the craftsmanship. So whether or not they are just, take it for what it's worth. I think Pappy's opened up that world for the bourbon, that this journey of bourbon drinking.
Yeah.
I 100% agree with that.
Yeah, it has brought so many people to this for sure. And it also makes for some funny things too. I was at a raffle one time at Total Wine, and a person won an early pick. And again, it draws people that don't know about bourbon. They just want to be part of this and they want to win something big. So this lady wins, and then she comes out and her whole group's like, "What'd you get? What'd you get? What'd you get?" And she's like, "Well, I got the most expensive one that was there. It has to be this." She raises up the Boss Hog. That's up all the antique collection and all that kind of stuff to grab a Boss Hog because it was the most expensive thing. It's got to be the best one, right? It was $500. I mean, it's got to be the best.
I think going into bourbon and going into whiskey and really kind of getting into it, and everybody wants Pappy. Everyone, oh, I want a Pappy 10. I want a Pappy 12, Pappy 15. And I've had the opportunity to try a lot of these in a lot of different years and things like that. Honestly, the craft, bourbon whiskey industry is where I find some of the best tasting bourbons and whiskey. And I've had a lot of the Pappy, and people are always like, "Oh, where can I get this? Where can I get that?" And I'm like, stop chasing that. Like, find that craft distillery, find that unicorn all on its own that's a single barrel, or like the Angel Share, like that's one of my favorites. And there's a couple
but better state for the show, Heidi. I do like where you're going here, because it does force people. So people are new to it. They hear Pappy, they hear about the excitement about it, they can't get it. It's not there. So then it forces them to look at other things and have those conversations. I'm interested in this. Well, you can't get that, but here, try this. So it does bring people to bourbon that has them try things that they might not even have tried had they not heard about Pappy and got them started with it. So I think that's a very cool thing too.
So it was just like the other day, I stopped at one of my stops, and it's a wine store that carries a very few selections of Scotch, whiskey, and bourbon. And I was like, "Ooh, you guys got the Black Maple Hill. I'm going to grab a bottle because it was a great price." And he was like, "Oh, that's the
known for its good cork pops too."
Yeah. He goes, "That's the poor man's Pappy." And I was like, "Wait, what?" I was like, "Okay."
I think
I just
well,
like
at least
it.
it used to
I'm
be.
gonna take it.
Yeah.
So that's what the guy said.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. It's all good stuff, and I think that it plays such an important role in bourbon, whether you like it or not. A lot of people tell you they don't like it. In reality, they really do. Believe me, if I call up any person who even says they don't like Pappy and say, "Hey, there's a bottle here. Do you want it?" They would buy it. If it was at the store, they would buy it. Believe me.
As long as there's not a fucking line.
Right. As long as there's not a line, even Beka would buy it. Yes.
Yeah, as long as there's not a line, even I'd buy it. I mean, even you see like baseball players and like hockey players and stuff like that. They pull that out when they win a big championship. And I don't know who it was, but they're taking chugs of Pappy Van Winkle on the field. I mean,
the St. Louis Blues did that.
And guess what?
That's happened when the Blues won the Stanley Cup.
It wasn't just, they don't go, "Oh, what's that?" Like, people, it's recognizable. And it just builds that brand up even more. Because you see your favorite sports players chugging that at the end of a championship. Like, it's cool.
It is cool. Yeah, so it is iconic for sure. So yeah, we're glad that they're in the business. We like what they do, and they are very good for bourbon. All right, we'll wrap this one up as we always do by talking about where people can find us. Elba, we'll start with you. Where can people find you?
Head over to Instagram. You can find me at Bourbon JLo.
All right, Lenny.
You can find the Deer Hammer on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at Deer Hammer, on the web at deerhammer.com, where you can also buy our bottles and have them shipped to your door. And you can find me in the distillery in beautiful Buena Vista, Colorado.
Okay, Heidi.
You can find me on Instagram as Heller_BarrelBabe or on Facebook at Heidi Topol Eller.
All right, Miss Beka Sue.
You can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at Miss Beka Sue, 1K, no C's.
All right, for me, I'm an easy guy to find. I'm at Steve Akeley on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. I've got a website, steveakeley.com. The important website, though, is abvnetwork.com, because everything that we do is out there. Our virtual bourbon events are out there. Bourbon Zeppelin, which is our publication, is out there. So much more, abvnetwork.com. Miss Beka Sue, anything else to say before we get out of here?
I'd just like to remind the audience to please give us a 5-star review that includes comments. It helps when people find the show, which is very important to us. If you like what we're doing, we ask you please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/the ABV Network.
All right, great job today, gang. For audience, we'll have a brand new show for you tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Until then, take care, everybody. See ya.
See you
Bye.
guys.
Pew, 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 pew.
Before we finish the show, let's chat for a moment about Moonshine Still Pro. Moonshine Still Pro has a full line of products to help the home distiller. Whether you just want to experiment on a small scale on the stove in your kitchen or try your hand at a bigger setup in the backyard, Moonshine Still Pro can help. They have different still offerings as well as accessories and even grains from Goldstone Mill to help you make whiskey on par with what you get from your favorite distillery. They can even assist with a DIY still project by supplying some of the parts you can't make yourself. Check them out at moonshinestillpro.com. At the ABV Network, we're lucky enough to have some great friends. Amongst those friends is the Goldstein family, owners of Goldstone Mill. Goldstone Mill is a full-service mill offering a variety of heritage and heirloom grains. Their unique approach of working with mills around the country allows them to offer you affordable shipping opportunities to meet the unique needs of your distillery or brewery. They will consult with you to ensure the grains you are selecting meets the unique flavor profiles you are looking for. If you are a home brewer or distiller and you're looking for the grains that your local distillery or brewery uses, Goldstone Mill is the place to look. Check them out on the web at goldstonemill.com, call them at 217-254-6613, or shoot them an email at hello@goldstonemill.com.
The Bourbon Daily is part of the ABV Network. For more information or to become a sponsor, please visit abvnetwork.com. Thanks for listening and cheers.
This has been a Steve Akeley production.